Hi guys, and good evening. It is the 27th of July 2022, 5:47 p.m. London time. So I'm here to give you all a public live stream today. It's been quite a while. Got a good video for you. Just going to wait for a few people to get in the room. So we're just going to wait 1 or 2 minutes and then we will continue the live stream. If you are in the chat at the moment, just say, hey, what's up? In the chat box. Sound good, seeing everything excellent. What's cracking, fam? Yeah, we're going to start this in approximately 2 minutes, all right? Hope wherever you're tuning in from today, you are well. So I think it's a very important time in the markets. And so it's a very good, basically, time to come live to cover it all for you. What's up, Crypto Bentley? What's up, AN? What's up, Dracon? NK, Jehovah, Kaz, Thomas, AO. What's up, boys? DY, Raw Blitz. Emmanuel Lopez, what's up, brother? It's good to see you all in here, man. It's good to see people are joining the stream. Because I haven't done this in a long time, I didn't really know who's going to turn up. I know a lot of people are waiting to watch this on replay. But yeah, just before we start, I'm going to go through the criteria for today. And yeah, what we're going to go through today is the following, right? The BTC macro environment and bias, if any bias can be generated, or plans from both a trade and spot environment. Next, we're going to look at BTC micro environment and bias. So this is basically BTC from the weekly chart down. And then from there, we're going to look at specific alts I'm interested in, plus attempt to see where we can place them in the current trend. And then we're just going to open the floor for questions. In this BTC macro environment, I'm going to cover the Nasdaq first because obviously, as you all know, BTC appears to be correlated to the VIX to a certain degree. All right. Where's that pop-up chat gone? What's up, Gambit? Good to see you all. Good joke, DY. All right, let's begin. So the crypto markets have had a bit of respite because the Nasdaq has also had a little bit of respite, right? We can see that here. Now, I'm not an expert on macro fundamentals, so this is not going to be a video about macro fundamentals. But what I just want to highlight to you is that if the Nasdaq ranges here, I think it's going to be positive, net positive for crypto. If it moves up, it's going to be net positive for crypto. But as soon as we begin to break down, you're going to see trouble in the entirety of the crypto markets, right? Upon this move here, the entirety of crypto moved down, and it will continue to do so. My current level for a Nasdaq spill is right here. Okay, so if we start to move, if we start to lose this level, I think we're going to move down lower. The current range that I was dealing with and that I had highlighted to everyone previously on the Nasdaq was like so. Okay, so we have a range high and a range low. And so in the local environment, we are technically still ranging. Okay, we're technically ranging. And we have the opportunity to come over here, flip that and continue up. But I think until that is flipped right here, right, we can't assume that crypto is going to go much higher. All right. So we could, for example, take the previous week's high and chop around and then move down. or we could do this in the move up, right? We don't really know what's going to happen. We can only make plans to trigger if anything does occur. What I want to also highlight to you on the Nasdaq is that right here is a spot to be careful. So if we get a move over this high here, you want to be kind of careful at that point. Whilst it could lead to a breakout, the Nasdaq likes to move to these previous highs. Sorry, yeah, it likes to move to these previous highs and dump, right? Perfect point to generate liquidity for a move down if we fail, okay? The point is being if we fail. So there are two trades to have in the Nasdaq at the moment, and one is to short this range, right, back down to the lows. But a better trade, in my opinion, is if we get a fake out of this high. So you need a failure beneath it, right? You need a move above it and a failure beneath it. That's a short to this relative low. The point here I'm trying to make, the specific point I'm trying to make, is that we are obviously compressing here, right? And this could be a place where the entire market breaks out, and if so, the crypto bottom will be in. Yeah, I can't imagine a scenario at the moment where stocks, for some reason, start to just smash towards the upside, but crypto stays where it is. Okay, it will benefit from the. There is a key observation, however, that I want to highlight for you now. So if I go to the chart I was using before, I think it was composite. One moment. Okay, I've lost it. I can probably show you on this, right? Very important observation on the weekly for the Nasdaq, yeah? So we have history here going back all the way to August 03, which is enough, right? It's about 20 years or so. Now, if you look at the RSI on the Nasdaq, this is what you see. We are currently, or we tapped around the 30 level, right? And I've looked to historical price action to see where we've tapped that level previously. We have a tap right here. We have a tap right here. We have pretty much a close tap right here. Sorry, it's this kind of area, right? So we have a few bottoms to reference. What happened every time we've hit this level? Smashed up, smashed up, smashed up, every single time. Now, whilst I appreciate that I might not be covering the fundamentals in an instant, therefore, the point that is being made here is that it is likely for me that a bottom is close or is already in if we take this chart. Okay, that will be relevant when we look at the Bitcoin chart that I am going to display. The current period appears to be in a movement up. For me to feel comfortable swinging this long, if it's not an option, would be a similar kind of idea, yeah? But this time, perhaps we take a high like this, we roll over, we form a lower time frame structure, and then we re-break out. That is where I would feel very comfortable to long everything if that happened. Until then, it's a question mark for me. If then we move down to BTC, this is where now we need to talk about the macro. And actually, I'm going to do that on the Coinbase chart. All right, so let's do a quick top down of BTC before I continue. Does anyone have any questions? Let's check. Okay, guys, can you tell me if you saw what I said before, but also okay, guys, you're gonna have to deal with this. This is the fastest I can get it at the moment. I've got 2.6 megabytes a second. It should be quick enough for you, all right? Sorry about the delay. I'm just gonna tweet that everything is back online. One moment. Right, so as I was saying, I'm going to quickly start the overview again. As I was saying that because crypto and BTC especially is correlated with the Nasdaq, it is very possible that if the Nasdaq expands here, the bottom is in or close. What's happening with the Nasdaq at the moment is that we have a volatility crunch going on here that can resolve itself one of two ways, of course, up or down. The criteria for resolution is as follows. If we, for example, move and basically move below this low, I think at best, we're going to form a higher low. At worst, we're going to form new lows. We have a range high here, okay, and we have a range low right here. Now, these are two barriers I'm using locally in order to assume where price rejects. I thought we would reject here last week, and we have done. The trade opportunities are as follows with the Nasdaq. Here, right, a short trade to new lows. Or a better opportunity is waiting for this high to fail. Right, so the Nasdaq is very typical for moving over previous highs and then dumping. There'll be a great deal of liquidity here in order to take us down if this fails. All right, I wouldn't be wanting to be rushing that. The primary observation that was made is that when the Nasdaq hits this low, what happens historically is that we start to rally pretty high. So if you look at the RSI, whenever we get below 30. We usually have a strong rally. We'll have one here, right? We have one right here. Again, in the general region here and here, right? So if we look at these bottoms, this is where they were formed. Now that's interesting to me because similar to the 08 crash, we are undergoing a volatility crunch that could result in a higher low. So if we get something like this, right, where we form a local market structure and we break out of it, that would be a long signal for the Nasdaq and for all the rest of the markets. All right, until then, it's a little bit tough to put your foot on the gas, right? But I think there is a probability that the bottom is in. Also, it's very similar to this low. So if you see how much volatility was crunching here and how the RSI looks here compared to how it is, this does look fairly similar. The percentage marker to what we moved then is also similar. So we moved 55% down, and here, what do we have, right? Percentage-wise, we have around 33%, so it wasn't similar. So if we are to accord with the percentage amount, we have a little bit further. But I'm not worried about the percentage it moves down. I'm really just worried about the structure. Okay, that is the thing that I'm looking at primarily. This is important if, you know, we need to consider BTC, because of course BTC will follow this. Is everything good? Yeah, what's up, Trader Dane? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Very fortunate to have everyone in here. Thank you very much. All right, so let me continue now to BTC. I hope that was a quick update that I've already given you, seeing as it was lagging before. So if I want to continue now on BTC, there was a guy spamming me saying, why are you using the Coinbase chart? The reason I'm using it is because my other chart is full of annotations. So BTC, let's conduct a top-down, and I'm going to show you what my conclusions are based on the top-down. So the first thing in this whole context and contextually is, the more we drop from here, the more bullish I become. Right, that's the first thing. The second thing is, on the monthly, there are two questions. What are we doing? In which direction are we trending, and where are our key levels, right? So we have a key level right here, which is number 1. And that key level can be expanded to a key area, which is right here. Right, that's the key area and key level. Number 2, we're currently in a downtrend. Right, we broke market structure around here on the monthly, and we've continued down at the moment. Therefore, according to the monthly chart, any move up is to be considered a premium for now. That's not to say the bottom cannot be in, because the BTC bottoms are usually not that easy to catch. So here we formed almost like a swing low, where this candle opened up towards the downside and then we moved up, right? I'm sure that there's been a bottom before, or an intra bottom that hasn't looked like it wants to continue up, and it continues up. What I'm trying to say is, just because this seems aggressive, don't operate with paradigms in where you believe this can't go from here. Okay, the market will do what the market wants to do. But two conclusions can be made from this for me for now, all right? Number one, the more we drop from here, the more bullish I come to. Any premium, any pump is a premium for now, all right? How I am approaching this on a macro scale is I've posted this, okay? I've posted this. But we are currently trending below or around 20K. My buys in general are as follows, okay? I don't buy anything over 21K, and I'm averaging down all the way to, let's say, 12K if possible, right? That's with 50% of my stack. The other 50% of the stack is reserved for a time like this, right? In case I end up buying at an average price that seems good, but in hindsight we get some kind of black swan event which offers a ridiculous discount against the market, that is where I will inject the other 50%, or on a market structure break on the macro. So a market structure break on the macro would be this, right? You have a high formed, a higher low, and then a new high, and then a movement up, okay? This is where I swung BTC on the last cycle, and it's where I would re-inject 50% if I missed a black swan event. But it's fairly simple for me. I'm not really looking to swing short this as much as I'm looking to accumulate both alts and BTC. If the bottom does turn out to be in here, right, and we do get another cycle, alts will go with it. It's fairly simple. Now, there is obviously the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is this. We have an inefficiency that goes, or on the monthly, that goes all the way down to 11,000. It's very possible. I don't know where the bottom is going to be in. All I'm going to say is that the 14K level and 12K level has become a bit of a meme. Right? So we're just going to draw this. This level has become a bit of a meme. It would make more sense for me to move up like this, move down for a very thin new low, perhaps towards the 15K region, and then move up towards the upside of this region. Either that, or we get a very strong rally, which people think is taking us to new all-time highs, straight into supply, and then we get a large smash down, okay, into the 14K or lower. This is probably the only way I feel this is going to materialize at the moment, that those lower prices, that lower part of this, a void that was highlighted on the monthly. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? My thesis is that this is going to go up, right? This is going to go up, and I'm happy to inject spot into the market around these levels, especially around the 21K level, in order to target minor new highs. That should be pretty clear by now, right? Do we have any questions on the macro for BTC? One last thing I forgot to highlight to you is that if, for example, we get to anywhere near 30K, this level was traded into so aggressively on multiple occasions, I would be very surprised if it doesn't offer a reaction, right? So we have buys, 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 buys. We have almost looks like a raid wick, right? Higher low buys, wick buys, and then we move down and engulf the entire thing. If we can get back anywhere near that, even on good news, that's a short. Similar to the Gigapump. If we have something like the Gigapump that occurs, I'll be looking to short that. I won't be looking to long that. But because BTC loves to also just rip through resistance in the same way it did so here, yeah, I don't really think that it's wise to try to overtrade the chart when you can just look to buy this at discounts and ride it up. That's where the money is, and that's where the money is for the most of the altcoins also. Okay, no lag. What's up, Joanne? Good to see you. So that is really the macro for BTC. It's not complicated. It's very, very, very simple. We also have this impulse to show. So we have an impulse, a movement up, a puke down. Perhaps we get an ending movement here in order to complete the entire cycle. Who knows? I don't. From there, I'm going to now look at the Binance chart so we can dissect the local environment, all right? All right, so let's first start with the weekly, and I won't comment on the monthly until the monthly has closed. This is, again, following the Nasdaq to a certain degree, right? We have a deep wick, right? We have a movement down, a higher low formed, and an expansion up. The key level that was formed among this region is this. Okay, so if I get rid of everything, and that was just to highlight the key level for you, you can see it right here. So, bit of a hard place for BTC. The bias on the weekly is up, but as you'll see on the daily, it's not so clear. What this kind of environment does for me is it qualifies me to only trade within the bounds of the previous week for now, until we get a legitimate amount of compression that hints we're moving either up or down, and I'll show you what that means now. Right, so put everything else on. Okay, so the local environment, what we had is we had a move to the 22,000 region and move back down, a move to the 22,000 region and move back down. We finally engulfed past it, and that had me thinking that the environment was very competitive and that we were going to move up. That didn't happen. Nasdaq puked, and we basically moved back below the area that we were in. Positioning wise, all right, there is positioning here, 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 and here. That makes me think that anyone that is trapped at this key level that is highlighted. If we go onto a lower time frame, you can even see here, anyone who would have been buying the pump on the 25th, which was Monday, okay, 2 days ago, they would have had their buys in this region. We engulfed completely past it. Therefore, it is probable for me, if we make a movement back up to this area, that we're going to at least reject to form either a higher low or move to new lows. Therefore, the first trade opportunity that I can see, perhaps towards the end of the week or in the new week, is a local short, okay, here. 1 second. With a fairly wide stop to begin with. And then from there, what I would do is I would move my stop in accordance to how price action is acting in this general region. Okay, that's the first idea. The second idea for me, and I've painted this for you quite a lot, is for the market to exhaust below this low first, and then for me to swing that up to the key level or key area highlighted. Is that clear? The third point I want to make for you is that technically BTC is still ranging. All right, for example, we start to move in a compression area around here. We don't break to new lows, we don't break to new highs. Alt BTC will begin to move, and that is a very viable proposition. So that is the third point I want to make. The fourth point I want to make is I said that I won't swing this to new highs or new lows, specifically new highs, until I can see some kind of compression offered towards this region. So because we moved up here, but we demonstrated a weakness that I'm not happy to qualify, I'd really like to see some kind of compression that breaks out, or something to make me think that we're going higher. So my conclusion for BTC is neutral to bearish to trade in this general region here and there. I'd like to see how the market evolves from there in order to choose a target, because I'm not kind of sure where it goes. All right, but that level there is going to get shorted for me on a first tap. All right. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be covered? Well, in terms of targets towards the upside for BTC, I mean, if we start to trend up here, you're looking, I would say, just on the lower side of 30K, which would drag the entire market up with it. On the lower side, if we move up here and then we lose this previous week's low, all right, that again is a short itself to new lows, all right, and the stop loss can be fairly tight on that one, and I would short that down to this liquidity area highlighted. So the three opportunities are really one long and two shorts. That's how I see the market developing from here. Actually, two longs and two shorts, I apologize, which is one, exhaustion below there, two, some form of compression to make me comfortable swinging that of this key level, four, a move to supply like this, and some sort of failure. So the failure can occur here, or the failure can occur below this low here. I would be more comfortable shorting it below that region. Thesis is time. I need time for the market to develop in a way that I want. Okay, let me see what comments we have here. Interesting. It says the FPS is low. Well, that sucks because I'm putting in a lot of detail with this, so never mind. Perhaps in future I'll record them and then I will just upload them. Can you confirm you can hear me and that you're viewing the video palpably? Because otherwise I'll just send out a market review. Alright guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this video for you and then upload it. The issue for me is that I don't want to continue with this live stream if the quality is poor, right? And I think it's my internet because it keeps dropping to 500 kilobytes. I can't live stream on a 500 kilobyte internet, so. Alright, I'm gonna just continue with this because everyone's saying it's alright, so I'm gonna continue. So BTC has been covered on the macro and on the micro. It's very difficult here. From here we're gonna now move to Ethereum because I feel as if Ethereum is more clear for me. So the thesis for Ethereum is much the same. I want to see a tap of this level in order to short to previous week's low. So if you see this here, we have a distribution zone, we have a third stop rate, and we have an engulf from there. The area where people were likely buying the dip, so if I get rid of all this, is around here. Okay, which is what? Above this local swing high. So here is my range, okay, for Ethereum. And if we pop above this high, okay, I'm looking for a short trade back to below previous weekly's low, which is right down here, just right here. And so that gives you the context for this chart, all right? There is a question mark here, because it is also probable that we form a higher low here and then we move up. But I think we've got to take out this low and the previous week's low first before we can move up. The chart for Ethereum, however, is very bullish. If you look at the weekly You know, I want to just simply believe that it is doing what it's meant to be doing here. I posted on the tier 7 channel that I wouldn't be looking to short Ethereum until it can reach anywhere from 1700 to 1700 to 1936. Yeah, I'll be looking for signs of distribution here in order to go short towards perhaps new lows, which is the 887 marker. That's when the big swing comes in. And much the same with BTC. If a big swing towards the downside qualifies beforehand, then fine, right? That will do so if, for example, we chop around here, right? We do something like this, and then we fail back below that reaccumulation zone, okay? Or the Nasdaq starts breaking down and we have confluence with ETH BTC. I hope that is clear. I can't be any more clear for you. So 2 opportunities for ETH. One is a short of this previous zone where we broke down from without any retest, and then another is right here. Okay, signs of distribution here in order to take to new lows. On the long side, if we can take out previous weekly's low right here, I'll be looking to long. Same thesis with BTC, or very similar to a certain aspect. There could be an idea where we form a higher low into this wick, but I'm not convinced. I'm really not convinced here. I think we would probably have to move below here to lure me into a long for now. Okay, that's pretty much covered. I want to move on to alts, and then we're going to open the floor for questions. Does anyone have any questions regarding Ethereum and BTC? Okay, USDT Dominance and everything else will be highlighted in the alt section. I'll do that in a minute, okay? Okay, cool. Right, so there's not many questions. I've been very, very clear with you all. Yeah, I've told you where I'm looking to buy spots, and I've told you where I'm looking for local trades in the local environment, and basically plans that are ready to trigger. Now, my thesis behind the market is that the sentiment is so gutted, okay, and prices at such a steep discount, with BTC hanging by 20k or below 20k, filling the majority of this void, that I don't think it makes sense to be over hypnotized by money to be made shorting alts at this point. Okay, I know a lot of Twitter are doing that, and there is tons of money to be made in that. I personally am spending a lot of time in research looking at projects that may be asymmetric towards the upside. So what I mean by asymmetric is, look, let's say, there's an investment that I've made, Star Atlas in Polis, and I saw it, the market cap hit around 10 million, and I bought some Polis, right? The market for Polis might go to 1 million, it might hit 5 million. With the projected highs that I believe it can go to if we have a new cycle, does it make any sense? Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Does it make any sense to nitpick about the best price? 20% lower, 30% lower, 30% higher. Does it make much sense? When you have bets that are so asymmetric, okay, the perfection of your execution goes down. You don't have to be perfect in the execution. And this is what I'm trying to share with a lot of people, is to generate macro thesis more than micro thesis in times of fear. Now, whilst I may not be an expert on the macro, on the markets like the Nasdaq and others, I certainly have the ability in crypto to judge when things have been gutted, when opportunities may be arising, and opportunities that are like an option. If crypto has another cycle, this is going to go 50x. If it doesn't, it goes to 0. So some of these alts are like an option at this point, with huge risk to reward. Again, I'm going to repeat myself, with the condition being, if crypto has another cycle and alts don't go all to 0 within the next 6 months, some of these alts are going to go 50, 60, 70x. Can you put $2,000 in a trade and get 250 grand out of that? No. So the best opportunities, or some of the best opportunities in my market, are digging at the moment. Okay, they are digging. And I just want to highlight that to you before we go forward, all right? If that is, you agree with the thesis that crypto at some point is going to have another cycle. Okay. So from here, let's discuss the alt climate. Okay. This is conditional on BTC and the Nasdaq, right? They always flow down. So BTC is leveraged on the Nasdaq. This is leveraged on BTC. As long as those two remain ranging or in a minor uptrend, this will too. Alts are currently what? Trading up on the weekly. We now have a fine weekly retest. We have a fair amount of inefficiency above us. Okay, we have a key level here, 417 billion. But we have higher lows in ascent and higher highs in ascent. We have a huge amount of supply just above. But for me, at the moment, right, it's reasonable to assume the alts make another high. And we're going to look at a few charts to qualify this in a moment. But this applies to the Ethereum analysis I gave you, and it will apply to charts that I show you in just a second. If we do get to 440 billion, okay, or even past that, it's just danger. At that point, you don't want to be swing longing anything, okay, or looking for longs. As we've said with Ethereum, if we get a move like this, and then a failure, and then a breaking market structure, that break in market structure is a great bet to new lows, at which point I will stop shorting the market altogether, okay? Because that new low, this is basically the Bitcoin chart, just on steroids. That new low will be where I'm expecting a low for the entire market, okay? So there is a possibility that we move down further. There is also a possibility that everything goes to 0. I'm not going to talk shit to you. There is absolutely a possibility. Alts, their fundamentals are terrible. Terrible. Yeah, none of it makes any sense. 500 billion there, 400 billion here, 100 billion there, 50 million here. None of these projects do shit. Especially all the metaverse games, which I think are going to be the most bullish if we get another cycle. That said, if you're looking to buy any spot investments, yeah, always keep in mind that, you know, you're playing a game of hot potato. From there, let's look at a few altcoin opportunities and use them as a framework to look at everything else. So, a little bit puzzling for me at the moment, because I've seen two alts that look like the majority of alts in the market, and I'm wondering, are they going to follow what they look like they're going to follow? First one is USDT. Now, what do you see on DOT? You see a move to a supply region, okay, a previous important level, right? You see a huge, gigantic wick on the weekly on the 9th of May, a grind up to that wick, and move down below it, right? Then you have a period of sideways movement, and then you move above that high, you break down, okay? So you break local market structure, and what? You form a lower high here. Remember, this is the inverted. Sometimes people call this deviation, other people call this power of 3, other people call this lower high, I call it wick retest, whatever you want to call it. Technically, this is a setup for me where you'd expect the market to trade to 8.99. So there is a thesis for alts to expand, or certain alts to expand. Yeah, and this is one I'm looking at favorably and looking to swing, right? Another one is Alice, which is much the same. The majority of alts are looking like this right now. It's very difficult for me to be bearish, which lends to the thesis that perhaps we see BTC move in a range. This, however, is far down on the pecking order, far down, meaning that context comes first. So whatever this setup is looking like, yeah, it could easily just blow through if the God markets decide for it to blow through. That said, the opportunity is there to swing long these to relative new highs in accordance to these ranges. Yeah, so I want to just say to you, I don't think it's smart to be overly bearish here or looking for shorts. If they qualify, fine. But do you really want to be caught shorting here if this could be the perfect spot accumulation area? Do you want to be caught shorting a discount into a higher low setup, right? Do you want that to occur? Now, there is a qualification that comes short towards the downside if we move up and then we fail and then break market structure towards the downside, all right? Absolutely. There is that qualification, and we need that to qualify first. But at the moment, for me, you're either looking at longs or you're neutral, right? This is the other paradigm where if that breaks down, okay, fine, you look for shorts. You know, if we now look at USDT on the monthly, we can use other views to show you what's going on. Again, falling wedge, breakout, and local market structure. Retest, not the place to short. Again, if we break down below there, do you really want to be caught shorting perhaps a generational long opportunity? I don't know. Again, this can go lower, but for me, the time to buy spot is emerging and has emerged, okay? I've been buying certain low caps and mid caps that I think are going to do well should we have another cycle, okay? The key word is should we have another cycle. That said, I think many alts are following these structures and have the potential to move to the next area of supply. So I would watch these if I were you. The next area of supply is, for me, okay, areas where price has previously transacted transacted in a strong manner and has not retested. Okay, so for me, that would be this kind of region here. When you look at DOT, and if you look at DOT as a placeholder, this is what you see on the BTC chart also. The possibility for this to be where everything comes from for certain alts, right? You have a swing high here, a slow grind up to it, and a strong, intentional puke below that entire grind up structure. All right, you're now grinding your way back up. Again, not too smart to be a bear for me here. You could say, well, on the log chart, it looks different. Does it really? We're on the log chart, okay? The regular chart looks pretty gutted. The log chart is the same for some altcoins. So that's my general thesis for spot, for swing, and local environment, right? You can use those as a placeholder in order to perhaps help you if you need some guidance at the moment. That's pretty clear. I've got nothing else to say on that matter. And that's really the live stream concluded in terms of the organic stuff that I was going to show you today. We also have just one or two charts that I'd prepared to share you. And basically, this was one. This is a very interesting observation that people are talking about. Now, they are expecting this time to be the same. So this was a chart I made on July the 14th, which is why it looks different to the current price action. But you get it, okay? Everyone is highlighting this. High raid, move down. We don't really have a reason to assume it doesn't occur for now. So I will be prepared to short this if what I showed you earlier on qualifies. But the main thing I want to share with you is something very interesting. All these legs are 45% in length. Okay, 45%, the next 45% marker is 12,200. Just something to keep in mind, just an observation that I shared with you. If you want me to conclude the entire video in quick and digestible points, I can do that for you. But I think I've been clear enough as to where you guys kind of see how I'm thinking. Now I'm going to open up the floor for questions and plans, and then from there you can, you can ask me what you want. What are our risks? Well, it depends. So at the moment, I'm trading anywhere from 2.5 to 6 risk to reward. Okay, probability comes first for me. And for some setups, I will enter at partial risk or using a very wide stop loss, and then refine the stop loss as my trade idea is qualified. Or if it is, for example, a setup like this that I took at the weekend for Ethereum, all right, I'll just mark it in when I see the signal that I want to see, and take my profit where I want to take it. All right, I think I marketed in on Ethereum around here and took just over 2R. My takings at the moment are between 2.5R and 6R average per setup. But I'm very, very picky with the setups I play at the moment. I've got a few DGen accounts where I just smash buttons, but on my proper accounts, I want to see things set up in a proper manner, and I usually take less trades in these environments, not more. The time for more trades is when the market is clearly smashing in a direction, and we have abundance of new, fresh volume entering the market. What's up, Manu? Good to see you. Okay, let's look at USDT Dominance, because people wanted to see that. But I think better to combine the two. Okay, let me forget all this for a second. Well, all this is showing me, guys, is that the market is cash dominant. And this is going to be very difficult to predict where this starts to puke. But most certainly there is one observation that we can hold, is that these lows are generally expected to hold up, right? And if we get a movement below a local low, it is to be considered what? A premium. Sorry, not a premium, a discount. Meaning, I'm going to show you something now, right? If, for example, the crypto markets start to go up violently and we start to, quote unquote, deviate below this low, upon reclaim of that, if BTC is at supply or crypto is at supply, it's a get the fuck out signal. So the way I use this is in a general format at these key points. My thesis here was correct, that we would puke here and puke here, but the only issue now for USDT Dominance is it's not really following previous behavior. It's gone fairly parabolic in this region. But that also serves as a good marker to consider a BTC bottom. Yeah, you want cash to be abundant in the market. And you want dominance actually to be fairly low. You don't want much interest in BTC, yeah, at least in my opinion. You want most people to be stacking their money elsewhere. Fear often generates problems in capital allocation, right? And that's what I think in general. Could be wrong. I think the better chart to look at is BTC Dominance, and I believe that. If I posted this before, but if we move below this local low, but alt BTC doesn't make a new high, that's probably going to mark the bottom for BTC, right? The way I use BTC Dominance these days is not as straightforward as I used to, or as some people will think. Yeah, I'd need an entire video to explain to you the way I use it. Okay, do we have any alt requests or any questions? I'm going to open up the floor and then we'll be done. Okay, we have the requests that are flowing in. Okay, so Trivala I'm not interested in. Okay, I don't understand the aviation market, and the issue for me, guys, is that the majority of crypto participants, especially those using leverage, are apes. Okay, they only understand 3 languages. First language: other person make money, I make money too, I press buy. That's the first language. The second language in terms of alts is, this looks shiny, branding nice, partnerships good, idea cool, community buzzing. That's the second. The third type of people are those who go on YouTube and basically just buy what other people are recommending, okay? The biggest accounts in a trending market. Trivala fits none of those for now. Whilst it may be a good project that is generating revenue, in the first cycle, I saw it very clearly occur that the projects that were generating extremely good revenue, right? There was a project called MWatt, I remember. And I made this mistake in thinking that it's going to correlate with a parabola. It didn't. It did not. And so sometimes the fundamentals don't correlate because the fundamentals in crypto are baseless. That's the entire point. From here, you want to see Solana. AC wants to see Solana. Okay. Why am I doing Solana? Sol. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Yeah, Sol looks a bit cooked at the moment. Yeah, it looks a bit cooked. It's actually a similar chart to some of the other charts I've seen. But here is where your traders are trapped. Right? Always think in terms of levels and areas where positions have been opened, because it's those positions, whether algorithmic or people having old orders in or people being trapped, that offer at least first touch reactions, unless the market has enough flow to overcome those pending orders or, you know, self-fulfilling prophecies that are looking at those levels too. Right? For me, Sol would be a short here. Yes, the higher low structure is still intact, but the risk to reward for a short is very good at the moment. Right? Something like this. If it's a bit of a no man's land at the moment here for Solana. If we look at the 4-hour chart, I would be expecting this on a long basis to follow Ethereum. So if I look at previous week's low, okay, it's all the way down there. 1 second. Okay, no, forget that. The range is too wide. So the opportunities that I would look for Solana is I'd like to see some reaccumulation in this area in order to swing it back to this failed area here. Does that make sense? And what that looks like is 2 swing points generated, and from there failure beneath the local low swing point, chop around and a break of that local market structure in order to take a long to the next palpable point of supply. Okay. Alternatively, I think if we can break below this low and form another similar structure before we put in a high, fine. I covered actually the criteria for looking at the majority of alts, and that applies to Solana too. Solana's not, extinct from that. It's not exempt from that. Now, There is the possibility that people will short this trendline breakdown here, but I don't think that's smart. Okay, my criteria for this to go short on a swing basis is if we peg below there, we move back up, and then we lose that local structure again, and then we move back down. I'm very specific in what I want to see. If something doesn't fit perfectly, I often don't want to look to trade it. Yeah, because there's so much in the market, you can just look at what works for you. But this is my favorite view for Solana right now. I move back to there, and then I move to this low. Okay, and that move to here, I would long it if we can get exhaustion on this local low. Now, if you look at the macro for Solana, which maybe you were hinting at, in my opinion, anything below $20 is an absolute steal. I'm expecting some kind of scam to happen because it's an exchange coin. Exchange coins are the scammiest coins. Okay, if you look at the history of most exchange coins, they always run the majority out of the game before they just endlessly pump up. I would be very comfortable looking to buy this if it moves to this low. Okay, this is absolutely going to continue to trend up again if the general crypto market starts to trend up. So what I'm trying to say here is that this local scenario where I've drawn this key level out for you here, yeah, where I've highlighted this for you, that short will become invalidated if we have reason to believe that we're going higher. But until then, you're looking for a reaction off that level. Right. Okay. Raw Blitz, yeah, the fundamentals will start to play a role. Absolutely. The main issue is that I think that will only occur once everything goes to zero. Yeah? So the fundamentals will come when we have evidence that this has become an evolved market. But we don't have evidence for that yet because everything is out of whack. Now, you could say that the stock market is also overvalued. Fine, no problem. But the stock market is overvalued among value, okay? It has companies that provide real-world services that everyone is using. So whilst that might be prone to speculation, it has some grounding in reality. Until crypto has grounding in reality in terms of value that it gives the world, absolutely not. You have, look at the market cap of Decentraland. It's $2 billion. Or $1 billion, whatever the fuck it is, right? $2 billion. This game looks like it was born in the 1990s and doesn't even work properly without lagging. And you're telling me that's worth $2 billion. Yeah, fundamentals will only matter when everything has burned, okay? Right, so Phil, please. Phil. Okay, wait, right, these are going to be the last ones. Phil, Waves, and XTZ. Phil looks like dog shit here. Doesn't look good. I don't have any, or Filecoin, I don't have any knowledge on Filecoin at all. But that doesn't look good to me. It looks like it wants to take this low. Could be wrong. Could be absolutely be wrong. You know, we're technically ranging here, okay, but we have a lot of price action above this high. Right, I think we're likely to move below this low. Feels that way. The issue is, again, this is why I gave you a placeholder for the altcoins. If contextually the market starts to move up and Phil BTC is looking as if it's strong, then fine, we can move higher. But for now, I don't see that at all. I also see a strong swing low here, which is okay, but we don't have any break of structure and no indication we are going to break it yet. All right, so that's the case for Filecoin. XDZ, Tezos. Same as everything else. This is looking a bit clapped. Just looks like a bear flag to me. And it looks like it wants to spill to at least this level and then down further. Ideally, okay, let me check this properly for you, all right? All right, so, yeah. It's possible we get a movement like this, but for now it's looking like it wants to head down. Looking weaker than the majority of alt charts, but the thesis is the same. All right, if you invert this, you can see clearly what I mean. All right, so if you just look at this from a weekly perspective, we have a break of a weekly high here. All right, and we're currently retesting that zone. All right, I would expect if we're looking to long the market for it to go down like this. That is dependent on the context that I generated at the beginning of the video. But if we're looking at longing anything in specific, Tezos isn't my favorite at the moment, okay? We have cleaner, wider setups to look at, such as this, because look how much cleaner this looks. Do you understand? Okay, cool. So I'm not really interested in Tezos, but it will start to go up if the rest of the market goes up. You're looking, again, I'm going to keep saying this, to generate confluence before you look at longing anything in this general environment. If you look at this on an inverted view, it's plausible that what I just showed you occurs. So that this gets a brief move to there and then a move lower. So my kind of idea for Tezos at the moment is neutral to bearish. Look to see how this chart is acting and then cross-confluence it with everything else. My view on DXY has been the same for a while now. My view is that we reject somewhere around here and then continue down. But I'm not a fundamental guy, okay? For the DXY, we've broken out of this channel, which means that there's a ton of liquidity here for people rushing into the US dollar. Now, my only issue is that I understand correlation, but I don't have a strong fundamental to grip on why this wants to do what it does. For me, I just look at technicals the majority of the time. For me, this looks like a ranging market, and then we're just testing the upper side of the range, okay? And I had this marked out for a while. So if you want to know, I was sending charts to a lot of my friends and in tier 7, that at this point, okay, we were going for higher, 108. I knew that was coming, but for me, I have dollars, I've converted them back into a different currency now, right? So that's my thought on the dollar. You know, it could just go higher. If we have a market crash, cash is king when the market crashes. So that I think it just depends on the overall stance of the world. But it feeds into what I was thinking, that the Nasdaq is close to the bottom, maybe one more leg down. Could be completely wrong, but yeah. Crypto Bentley, I've already covered BTC twice on this stream, so it's going to conclude, and then I'll time mark it for you so you can go and see everything, all right? I'm going to conclude the stream here, guys. I'm extremely sorry for the lack of bandwidth I have here. I'll make sure that I'm running on at least 5 megabytes a second next time I do a live stream, all right? So in any case, thank you for tuning in today. Cheers for everyone that involved themselves, and yeah, this will be a weekly thing from now on. So you can expect one either Sunday or next Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. Have a lovely day. Peace.